Yo, what's good, Spirit Squad? Today we're going to be playing a little bit of Pioneer, and we're going to be playing Azorius this time, not just Mono Blue. So, over the last few weeks, people have been really excited about a potential leak, but it's pretty much confirmed now that we're going to be getting the Scars of Mirrodin Fastlands back into the format, into Pioneer, where I've been complaining for, 2 years now, that we really just want Chrome Coast in this exact deck. And, well, it seems to be coming. So that's really exciting, and as a bit of a celebration, I'm going to be playing a bit of Blue-White Spirits instead of Mono Blue Spirits. So the obvious highlight to Blue-White Spirits is that, of course, you get to play white cards, so you're playing multiple colors. That enables you to play things like Queller and Selfless Spirit in the main, both of which have been long-time stays from the modern deck, and are still very good in Pioneer. If anything, Selfless Spirit might be better because Blue-White control is actually good in Pioneer, where it's just a pretty okay deck in Modern. Instead of Faceless Haven, which is normally the biggest loss from playing Mono Blue to Blue White, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Mutavault, but we do also get a few other utility lands. We're still playing an Otawara, which is a lot more free in this deck than it is in Mono Blue, since you're not trying to activate Snow. We're going to be playing a copy of Iganjo as well, which is pretty exciting. And then we've got a bunch of relatively decent dual lands. So we've got a Darker Wastes, which is fine, Hengegate Pathway, which is relatively great, and Howler Fountain, which is of course just, tried and true. Our sideboard, since we're also going to be getting to play white cards, is going to contain 4 copies of Extraction Specialist, and this is a card that I have super loved against decks like Rakdos. Even with Misery Shadows and Graveyard Trespassers, I'm still a fan of Extraction Specialist against those decks. We also get to play 3 copies of Portable Hole, and I believe this has a lot of jobs right now. Against decks like Angels, which you can otherwise never beat, you get to kill off things like Bishop Up Wings, Giada, Youthful Valkyrie, all of which are big problems for you. Against things like Is It Phoenix, turning off Ledger Shredder, pretty big deal. And if you catch them on a Thing in the Ice list, even better. Against Mono White, take out their entire deck. Against Mono Green, say goodbye to your elves, and so on and so forth. Portable Hole has a ton of jobs right now. So, that's enough gab. Let's get into round 1. I'll see y'all there. Okay, round 1's here. We're on the draw, which is fine with a hand like this. I've got 2 Spectral Sailors, so if I have a Curious Obsession coming anytime soon, these are both turned on and very good. This isn't bad against a whole lot of decks, so ultimately, I don't think I hate this. I do want a 3rd land, but until then, I think I can live. So let's do this and see what they're up to. Green, Oath of Nissa. So we're playing against Mono Green Devotion, which is good for a hand like this. I do want to see my hand eventually come together with something like, say, again, a Curious Obsession is just like the best draw, but a 3rd land is also relatively good. Shacklegeist isn't the worst either. Wolf Willow Haven I can't do anything about, so I'm just going to put in my Spectral Sailor and keep it moving. And now they can untap and start playing things like 4 drops. So I am going to play my Mutavault, ? Yeah, all right. And since they didn't bother playing like a Mana Elf, instead they played an enchantment, I'm not going to play my Shacklegeist here. I'm just going to go ahead and hold up double counterspell, see if I can't hit a succession of like Karn with 4 mana into Cavalier on 5. I can counter both of those things. So I think for now, I'm going to give myself the ability to do that. If they play just like an Old Growth Droll, I don't know that I care. I think I might just flash in Spectral Sailor. Okay, so there's 4 mana. And there's an Old Growth Troll. So this does enable good Nykthos turns. And Oath of Nissa can happen too. So they can have that. And then I get to... Okay, so there's a Cavalier. So I'm going to be pretty happy that we held up at least one of these Geistlight Snares. The Mutavault is unfortunately not super helpful here. So I guess I'm just going to attack. And a big downside to the way that we played this, though, is since we let this resolve... If they do come at me with just a Nykthos here, then they... God damn it. I was going to say they can outpace the... Oh, they just didn't wait a turn. All right, well, that works. I thought they were going to wait a turn. Never mind. Everything's okay again. I... Didn't see that coming. Okay. So I guess I'm just going to play my Supreme Phantom here. Attack for 4, and then... see what I have to choose between my Spectral Sailor and Geistlight Snare. I did not expect to get to use my Geistlight Snare, though, to be completely honest. I thought they were just going to wait one more turn and then just, like, outpace this and make me use 2 of them. And I was fully prepared to be sad about that. Oh, my... Oh, they played a land this time. Dang it. Fine, they learned. But even that's not the worst, since I do have a Shacklegeist here. So I take this 4, go to 12, and we're going to make that 11 in just a second here, but I'm still relatively okay with this as far as 2-turn clocks go. So I'm going to get to untap here, and oh, hey, you're a little late, but still welcome. So I'm going to put that over here, and since I have Geistlight Snare, instead of... No, I think I just have to try to draw a land. Yeah, I'm going to try to draw a land. Because the likelihood of Geistlight Snare not even getting to do anything is pretty high, and doing it like this has enabled a 1-turn clock, so unless they have... You're a sorcery only, right? Yeah, activate only during your turn. Okay, so there is no way for me to take lethal unless I'm dumb enough to tap this again. That sounds right. I suppose I could have just, like, not attacked with one of these Spectral Sailors to block the Cavalier, but I think I'm safe. Well, now I know I'm safe. So, well, I have a guaranteed blocker here, which is really nice, and the fact that this is an unpained blue source means I can probably use my Geistlight Snare as well. I don't know that I'll be able to do anything with it, but it'll be nice. But realistically, what even could this counter? They have 7, 8 pips here, so 1, 2, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 mana totally. That's a lot. So I think the most complicated draw from this is probably just like their 4th Cavalier, since we've already solved 2 of them. Or rather, we solved 1 and they solved 1 by milling the other. Okay, there's a Karn. Can't do much about Karn. And they still have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana to play with. So if their plan is to Karn into like a Sky Sovereign, I can't really do anything about that. If it's just like a Cityscape Leveler though, and I don't think I care, Pestilent Cauldron. Do I beat that combo? Oh god, freaking... Well, okay, never mind. So now they have 14 mana, which I think is 1 short of being able to auto combo by itself, right? So they get the Restorative Burst, they get another Karn and a Cavalier, they go up to 10. So there's a Cavalier, which I can't do anything about that, but I can counter a Karn, and since I'm at 14, I don't need to use you as a blocker. So how do I get punished? So I think I get punished by letting this resolve into a Nykthos. If I use Geistlight Snare here, they pay 3, and that means even a revealed Nykthos doesn't do anything by itself. A revealed Nykthos plus... Yeah, a revealed Nykthos doesn't do anything. Okay, yeah, let's do this. So they pay the 3 if they want this to resolve, and if so, even a Nykthos doesn't necessarily do anything, since they'll have to tap 3 mana and they won't have 2 to pay for Nykthos. Okay, you got it. They do have a Storm to Festival for next time, but I can't do anything about that anyway, so whatever. And let's see if they try to attack. They don't try to attack, which is actually good for me. A Shacklegeist coming in, what does that do? So I need to tap 2 creatures and deal 10. 3, 6, 9, 10, 1, 2. I need exactly 1 more mana to do all of that right now. So what I'm going to do here then is, I guess, just this, and I can activate a Mutavault, use Mutavault and Supreme Phantom to tap 1, use new Shacklegeist and Spectral Sailor to tap the other, and what I can do from there is Shacklegeist attack, Spectral Sailor attack their face, and draw 1 card. And I will leave a Mutavault untapped so that if I draw a land, I can activate it. Okay, let's do that. So this way I get to clear the Karn, I get to get my 1 attack in, and I'm also not dying on the way back because they do have 14 and I need to be careful about that. Okay, so now you attack Karn, you attack the face, I get to draw 1, and I do still have a blocker. I am pretty scared of what this Storm to Festival in the graveyard can do, but I currently can't do anything about that, so it's kind of whatever. And it was a Selfless Spirit, which is unfortunately not helpful. So here, I guess I'm just going to see if I'm allowed to block here. Realistically, I assume I am, but you just never know what happens in a game of Magic, right? What's another out? I suppose they could technically Boseiju me into a land. That would allow me to activate Mutavault and then tap with Spectral Sailor and Mutavault. Like, that's technically a thing, but that requires them to want to Boseiju like my CO or, I don't know, maybe something like another Mutavault. Let's just see what happens with the Storm to Festival first. Oh, they just have another Karn. Well, shit. Cityscape Leveler. I think Cityscape Leveler... Oh no, they get rid of my blocker and kill me. Aw. Well... Alright, that's exactly 14. That sucks. Yeah. Unfortunate times. I thought we were fine. And realistically, until the draw was another Karn to clear the blocker, we were. But that doesn't make me less sad about it. All right, so here we're going to get to play first, which is super nice. Come on. Not like this. Well, all right. That is a lot better. So I don't want the Darker Wastes, and I don't know that I need a third one of these, so let's just go all in on this Mausoleum Wanderer and try to make their life as miserable as possible. So I suppose an ideal draw step here looks just like a Geistlight Snare, but that's good too. I will actually hold that up for one turn so that I can counter a Kiora. And a Spell Queller is actually pretty good if I draw a land this next turn, so let's see if that's what ends up happening. And I do... You know what? That's bait for a Wolfwillow Haven, but I actually think I'm supposed to... No, you can have that. They started off with 7 cards, so this isn't like necessarily digging for a land. I mean, it can find an Ichthos, but I do want to give myself the ability to counter a Wolfwillow, but it looks like it's just another elf. Okay. Oh, all the elves, every elf. Understood. There's the Geistlight I was looking for. That's nice. So here, I'm just going to do this and look for a third land here, since I don't plan on using the Spell Queller this turn anyway. So let's just get the most advantage I can with this really deep mulligan. Okay, and I don't want the Mutavault this turn since I want to be able to both Geistlight Snare and Spell Pierce, but next turn this Mutavault's going to look really lovely, especially if I only have to use one of my spells. That's a lot of mana. Okay, so there's the Kiora. Woof. Is there any universe in which I'm beating a Kiora? Let's see. So what happens here? I can... Next turn, they untap with 7 mana, which means 12 if I let this Kiora resolve, and I can't beat really anything they can do with 12 mana. But the flip side of the coin here is that... No, I think I just have to do this first. Because now this can transmute to 4 mana, which unfortunately outpaces both of these, but not together. And if I let the Kiora resolve, next turn just gets hellacious. They could just let this get Spell Pierce, though, and use this to transmute into an Old Growth Troll or a Karn, which is why I did Spell Pierce first. If they play a creature instead, I would rather give myself the ability to Geistlight Snare that. Okay, so now let's make them actually use the 2. And now, if Kiora resolves, they can untap this. They have exactly 2 mana floating. That turns into 5. 5 probably means a Cavalier, which I don't want to deal with right now. So let's just get rid of Kiora and then draw 2 more cards and see if one happens to be like an Aether Gust or something else relevant. They can finish off the turn here with just like a Wolfwillow Haven or another elf, but I don't really give a shit about those. All right, so we have at least navigated that small part of the equation. Let's draw 2 more cards. Hopefully one's a real counterspell that costs 1 so that I have something to back up my Spell Queller with, and just go from there. All right. That's not good. That's not exactly what I wanted to see there. So opponent, please just like, I don't know, play a Karn or something that I can Spell Queller. Because if this is just like a, whatever the 5-drop is called, Cavalier, then we might just be screwed. So what are we working with? 8 mana? Yeah, 6 mana. Storm the Festival. I think I actually have to sacrifice this. That sucks so much. I mean, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to complain about it. Oh, that feels so bad. And if they attack, I will just empty Spell Queller. They didn't. Okay. Do I empty Spell Queller anyway? Yeah, this Spell Queller isn't necessarily guaranteed to have text, and honestly, I don't think I'm winning if I'm not attacking in the air, so I'm gonna do it and complain about this hand later. You know what? That's not the world's worst start. It's bad, but it's not the worst. And it's not like there's any universe in which they double block this. So if they had done that, then that would have just made me pretty happy anyway. But at least this now plays around them resolving a Cavalier, since I can Nebelgast Herald it and start like resuming my attack. But keep it real, I'm still pretty unhappy with the way this hand has worked out. Okay, so there's the Cavalier, and let's see what they find. They find a Forest and nothing else of relevance, which is nice. If they want to attack for 2, they can. Oh, what's this? Damn it! They had the Karn after all. No breaks, no breaks. And they get the Sky Sovereign. All right, so at least we can clear out the Karn using the help of the Mutavault here, and that doesn't do anything positive for us. Karn. Actually, only one of these needs to attack Karn. Face. That's a lot better. So now what? The Sky Sovereign is definitely going to get to kill the Nebelgast Herald. And that's got to be the thing they cast first. I mean, they could cast the Storm Festival first, but I really can do nothing about that. Yeah, I didn't think so. So they cast that. They target my Nebelgast Herald. I respond with this so that I can tap their Cavalier. So at least this way I still have 4 in the air. And now I only have one more problem to solve. That's fine. It's not like this has haste, so I don't really care too much about that this turn. They can tap the 3 elves, however, to crew this next turn. But that gives me the ability to just like activate my Mutavault, right? So they have to choose between tapping 3 to crew this or being able to block this, and they're at 4. So unless one of their plays is another creature, then what does that do for you with 1 mana? No, 4 mana. I don't know that that does anything for them for 4 mana. Let's find out. They could Pithing Needle my Mutavault. That sucks if that happens to be the case. Please don't do that, opponent. Pestilent Cauldron. That costs 5. So I think we've just won this game. Oh, well, now we've super won this game. Sick. All right, well, I guess we get to move to a game 3. Yeah. All right. Scary times, not gonna lie. That Multi 5 was rough. And I swear to God, if they play Skylasher. Okay. I was fully ready to be really mad about that. But we're just going to go ahead and run this back. I don't think we need to make any changes here. Double checking. I do have Negate in this list. I actually forgot I have Negate in this list now. It's one of those cards that has kind of been in and out of the list for over the past few months. And I don't know, I've just kind of apparently find it really easy to forget. This hand is kind of gas. Okay, there's an elf. And here's a Wanderer. So them being on the play is pretty dangerous, but I'm kind of hoping that one of these, oh my, okay, that's a lot of mana. So now, oh, actually, you know what? This might not be that bad. So the line of Aether Gust into Spell Queller, depending on what it is they're playing next turn, might end up actually working out. Because they can make land drop into, what are we doing? Are we just trying to resolve a Kiora? Old Growth Troll. Is that bait for Kiora to resolve? I don't know, but I actually think I'm supposed to Aether Gust here, let them put it on top, and then untap and Spell Queller it so that I can start reasonably attacking. They put it on the bottom, though. I will definitely not block. Oh, that's actually really good for me. Yeah, sick. So what I can do now is, if they play something like a Cavalier, then I think a Karn. So I'll be really glad to Spell Queller the shit out of that. Get that out of my fucking face. And a Supreme Phantom, which I do not want. So here I'm just gonna attack for 3, hold up the combination of Nebelgast Herald and Aether Gust, and go from there. If they just play Karn and grab a boat, I'll be okay with just using that as my opportunity to resolve a Nebelgast Herald. Absolutely the fuck not, opponent. It's a tap land. I was about to say, oh my god, are they about to be the most embarrassed person in the known universe here? So now that my Nebelgast Herald is resolved, I think I'll be pretty glad to just resolve a Supreme Phantom and put them on notice. Oh, Jesus Christ, oh no, that's so bad. This isn't blue, oh god. I fucked up. I hope that doesn't bite me in the ass. Oh, please do not let this be one of those games in which the Spell Pierce really matters. Just like resolve an Old Growth Troll or something that I can Aether Gust afterwards. Oh, thank God. Whew. I could have gotten punished so badly there for tapping out of blue. Oh, my Lanta, that was not good. People, when you're playing your games of Magic, please just don't do that to yourself. Don't be Dre. But, hey, whatever. 1-0, we take those. Let's move to the next round. All right, welcome to round 2. We're playing against Daddy Jinzo 420. Oh my god, I gotta tell him. I gotta tell him. That is the best username I have ever seen on this mess. Anyway, let's play first. And let's play Magic with this relatively aggressive hand. All right, I'm in there. That is so ridiculous. I absolutely love it. So, knowing what we do about their opening, about our opening hand, I actually don't think I'm gonna try to lean into a turn 2 Geistlight Snare or anything. I'm going to assume that I'm not going to draw a Curious Obsession at all here, and instead can just play Wanderer into Wanderer into draw third land, Spectral Sailor, hold up Geistlight Snare, and just attack for a lot. So that's a really aggressive plan that on the play, I think I really like. So opponent says, you know, thanks. Sorry, was smoking a cigarette because they made us wait for a little bit. And I go, with that username, are you sure it was cigarettes? All right. So let's go ahead and play our Mistgate Pathway, play our turn 1 Wanderer, and then just kind of go from there. And this is where we find out what our opponent's playing. Unfortunately, our poor opponent seems to have mulliganed pretty deep. They went down to 5. So if this is mono green instead of boats, I'll be really happy with the way that we're choosing to play this. And we got the Supreme Phantom. So now my triple Mausoleum Wanderer start's going to look really good. But I still want to draw the third land so that I can Spectral Sailor and Supreme Phantom, or depending on what they play here, I can just go ahead and hold up Spectral Sailor plus Geistlight Snare. That's still a potent attack that follows up with Lethal the following turn too. Oath of Nissa, so we're playing against Devotion again. All right, so unfortunately our poor opponent is not exactly going to have a great time here. And they can produce 5 mana this next turn though. Make that 6. So I actually think this is where I do. Oh, never mind. I don't have to think at all. So I can just do this, attack for 6, block either their Cavalier or a Storm Festival with Geistlight Snare, untap Supreme Phantom, and that's exactly 11. Sick. We in there. Nykthos. So they now have 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. So that's not enough to escape this. If they play Kiora, how does that change my hand? I think the answer is that it doesn't. Not supposed to speak this stuff into existence, Andre. So what happens if I simply Geistlight Snare the Kiora now? If I do, and they want to pay for it, actually, yeah, that's fine, because there's not another card that I'm scared of. Untapping with Kiora is dangerous. Almost everything else I don't really care. So now they don't have the mana to untap Nykthos and do anything relevant. So untap, upkeep, Shinku, Hadouken. All right. Much, much, much easier on the play than it was on the draw against him last time, right? So let's go ahead and do this. And this hand is pretty bad, not gonna lie. Not really here for this. This is not good, but it is better. Actually, I'm just complaining. This hand's fine. Keep, pitch, yeah. So here I can earn 1 Mausoleum Wanderer. Or I can, oh, never mind, sick. I was gonna say, or I can hold up Spell Pierce to play around the turn 2 Kiora, but if they're just playing Nissa, then I'll just play my Wanderer and then hold up Geistlight Snare for the troll they just got with the Oath of Nissa. And of course, this entire equation changes if I happen to draw a CO here, since I have Geistlight Snare, but I'm not exactly going to call that a plan. Sheesh. If their entire plan really is just to turn 3 Old Growth Troll, do I care? I can just develop Supreme Phantom and then try to draw a land and just beat them down since I'm on the play. I actually think I like that better. Let's do that instead. This also plays a little better into something like Nykthos afterwards. Perfect. Yeah, like this actually plays a little better into something like a Storm to Festival. So here I 1, 2, 3, 4, but only 2 pips, so that only ever transmutes 2. So the worst thing that can happen next turn is a Cavalier, which is bad, so I'm just gonna attack here and make them take 3 at a time until I draw another land. Obviously, I put back the Iganjo, but an Iganjo specifically wouldn't really, I think, have helped here too much. I don't know, let's find out. Old Growth Troll, because they have Nykthos, I will spend time countering that. Also, I just want to like get as many turns as possible without them playing Magic. Since this is the only land they have, I'm pretty happy about this turn sequence now. They're at 14, and I still have no reason to play into a 5-drop resolving, so I'll just do this again. Are you another troll? I will use my Spell Pierce since I have the ability to. If they start resolving stuff, the Spell Pierce is probably not super long for the world anyway, so I'll just be relatively happy with that. They are at 11. That means that I can Supreme Phantom, attack for 6, untap, let them resolve this, and then play Shacklegeist on a resolved Cavalier, tap Shacklegeist and Supreme Phantom, attack for lethal anyway. Sick. So now they go to 5, and if they resolve a Cavalier to block here and in theory take me down to just 1, I can untap, just play this, and then not really worry about it. If instead they choose to play a 6-drop, I can use this. If this is a second Kiora, I don't think I care. What does Kiora net you? Old Growth Troll. Definitely don't care about that. So we're just dead is what you're telling me here? All right, well, let's attack. Opponent said GG. Okay, I'll say GG back. They're pretty funny. So shout outs to this hilarious username. Let's keep it moving. Round 3, y'all. Ooh, round 3's here. We're on the draw. I still think this hand is fine. So obviously an Obsession makes this hand go from like fine to absolutely godlike, but even still, looks like we're playing against Rakdos. Sure. So that just means I need to be a little bit careful with the Spectral Sailor. I don't want to walk it into specifically Bone Crusher Giant Stomp, but honestly, I think I'm pretty much okay with a lot of other things. So I'll just chill here for another turn and see if they just want to play a 3-drop here. If they do, then in theory, I might get to... Don't care about that. They can just like resolve this Bone Crusher Giant now if they just want to cast it for their turn. And then if they do, then I can just play Rattle Chains. And Rattle Chains itself isn't the creature I necessarily want to be playing, but it enables my Shackle Geist to have Flash, and it really just gives me a way to start using these Geistlight Snares even without the land. And we did not draw land. So this is still pretty acceptable. If they just want to like jam a Shieldred down my throat, that's mostly okay because I'll be able to Geistlight Snare it. If I draw a land, I can start spell coloring things, and all things considered, this ain't the worst. I will Geistlight Snare this. So if they have a Fatal Push for this, so be it. Looks like they do. But I'm not going to get to do much without a 3rd land anyway. So, no, shoot, misclick. I wanted you. Oh, that's bad. Please do not have another Bone Crusher Giant. All right. Well, looks like this was a game that we weren't winning without a 3rd land anyway. Oh, hey, there you are. Super late. I'm already at 8, going down to 6, going down to 0 because we're conceding. That's depressing. So here, I've got 2 copies of these Orvar, the all forms that I want. I also have all 4 copies of Extraction Specialist. Don't really want y'all. No, you're okay-ish. You're the one I don't want. So the tappers are fine, but not actually great. Here, I'd rather just play like the wear you out with my resources, since if I get to do my thing and my lands start going, my resources are better than theirs. But that will require us to actually hit our land drops, which was definitely a very real problem there. If we had a 3rd land in that last game, I do believe that game is actually pretty easy for us, but we didn't, so it is what it is. This hand is a lot better. All right, so I've got a Supreme Phantom with a CO, which is relatively nice with Geistlight Snare, provided I actually get to untap with both a 2nd blue source and my creature still alive. That is asking a lot, but if they also just like kill my Supreme Phantoms, then I will also get to just hopefully draw a white source and Extraction Specialist it back, so that feels all right. The Thoughtseize feels a lot less good. I actually don't even know what they want to take out of this. Okay, so they take the Specialist. So to hide this, I think I'm just going to do this, jam one of my Supreme Phantoms, and then really see if I can get away with untapping with this thing. Realistically, since they've seen the Snare into CO, I highly doubt it, but I think I'm still going to give myself a chance. Another Geistlight Snare is actually pretty good. So here, I think I'm... Since I drew another Snare, I think I actually am supposed to just fire. So this way, if they respond with anything other than... Damn it! I was going to say anything other than Rending Valley. Man, no breaks. All right, understood. That's unfortunate, because anything other than Rending Valley was covered. That's not a terrible draw if they don't Fatal Push it, because now I can use my Geistlight Snares. So let's see what they do first to get rid of the first one. They do not know about the second one. That is pretty good. I do need to draw a land for it. That's white, but that's still a pretty good draw. So let's see what they start walking into counterspells here, or never mind, I was going to say, or if they want to just start using this. If they did, that would have been a lot of damage though, so that is risky with this many cards in their hand, but it could have been one of those scenarios where it might have been better than just like, you know, wasting a full turn. So let's see what we draw here. Hopefully a white source. No, Well, my decision earlier to play the 2nd copy of Supreme Phantom and try to back it up, since they had exactly the Rending Valley, looks like that's going to feel like a mistake. I mean, in retrospect, I still don't believe it was, but we are being punished for it anyway. So now I can't cast either of these spells, and I really want to be able to cast both of them. Blood Tithe Harvester sucks, because now I can't Geistlight Snare it. Come on, give me a break, universe. And without a land, what they can do to resolve a big spell like a Shieldred here is they can just like pop this first, and then once this is gone, I'll no longer be able to cast this. But I'm just not doing anything else. Oy, this is not going great for the home team here. Okay, Thoughtseize, they take out the other Extraction Specialist most likely. They could take out a spell Queller, but I don't really think they care about that. Yeah, didn't think so. Like, if I'm not drawing lands and doing anything here, then there's no real reason to, like, get rid of a card that they can just kind of kill and mitigate and worry about later. Just drawing all the cards out of order here. Like, this would have been great on the turn where they had the Rending Valley. And I actually think I'm supposed to try to get rid of the Blood Tithe Harvester here. So let's see if they allow me to block. Stomp. That is, like, almost best case scenario. So now I'm going to get to do this. Block the Mutavault, hopefully. I'm sorry, protect the Mutavault. And still block Harvester with the Rattle Chains. Or I can give myself a chance to cast the Geistlight Snares, but I think we're past that point. My Kingdom for a white land. Meathook Massacre. Okay, noted. Okay, so with 6 lands, I am not feeling super confident about my ability to care about these Geistlight Snares anymore. I think we're a little past that, maybe. Oh, we're drawing cards. Okay. So we're going to 13. Oh, Tawara. You're killing me, deck. All right. And I am at 9, which I do need to be worried about, I guess. I just like can't let that resolve, right? Because that shaves an entire turn off of the clock here, and they can use that as an opportunity to like resolve a Shieldred here, but I can't do anything about that, and that is exactly what's going to happen. So we're going to pack it up and we're going to move to game round 4. GG's opponent. All right, last round is here. We get to be on the play. That's hype. And our hand is not bad. So we get to go like 1 drop, choice of 2 drop, or hold up Spell Pierce. If I draw a 3rd land, then this is especially good. And that seems to be a recurring theme of this list here, is that I just always really want a 3rd land. Are we doing this yet again? I mean, if so, that's great for me, but wow, that's a lot of forests. So obviously us being on the play against forests is pretty damn good, and to that effect, I could have simply held up Spell Pierce for Kiora and then Spectral Sailor. Oh, actually looks like we're playing against red-green boats, so is this a Storm Seeker? It is. So this is going to give itself a 3rd piece of power here and swing into me. I can't really do anything about that, so I'll just take that and then untap. No! All right, this is what we're doing. So let's go ahead and get another attack in here. So I'm going to hold you back as a blocker, and what I can do now is block here, flash in Spectral Sailor in case this grows itself to a 3, and I can either Rattle Chains or Spell Pierce. Spell Pierce is especially nice if they just try to jam like an Azika's Chariot down my throat. I kind of really want them to try that. Oh, thank God. All right, so I get to actually use my Spell Pierce, and if they give this self the haste, I can flash in Spectral Sailor and double block, and since that'll be 5 power, oh, it'll just trade. It's still not bad though. I still want this off the table. And if the price is just like my 1-drops, then I'm not exactly sad about denying them haste. So I do need to now, dang it, I was gonna say I really just want to play this, but it looks like we're not gonna get to do that. Instead, I'm gonna Rattle Chains here, and I think I'm gonna Rattle Chains regardless of what their plan is. Is this another Azika's Chariot? It's a Lovestruck Beast. That's fine. Lovestruck Beast is actually fine. Mana Confluence, okay. Obliterating Bolt? Dang it. Not an Obliterating Bolt. So I'm just going to go ahead and develop my threats and still cry about no land. Still crying about no land. Understood. So now what? I can resolve a Shacklegeist and use Shacklegeist to tap down the Lovestruck Beast or the Pack Leader and attack for 3 with Rattle Chains. I am extremely sad if it turns out they have just like an Obliterating Bolt, or even like a Bonecrusher Giant here would suck. But at least for now, I'm ahead on life total. I'm able to deny them a card draw. This looks... What is this? Are you another... Oh, a Crow in War. They're taking my shit. Well, that sucks. I can't do anything about that. All right. So what do they even want to take here? The Supreme Phantom, probably? They take the Shacklegeist. Okay. So I will simply do this then. So they can attack me for 3. I go down to 12. Land. Finally. So this actually works out relatively well for me because of the fact that I'm going to get to use my Nebelgast Herald finally. And that also means I think I'm fairly confident in my ability to just simply not die this turn, which is nice. Until next turn, I am now taunted. Okay, but that's fine because my plan was always to attack them here anyway. What is this? Obliterating Bolt. Okay, so now I'm just going to get to use my Rattle Chains, which is super nice. You protect the Supreme Phantom, so that's not going to have any text. And they can attack for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's not 12. Oh, yes it is. But that's fine because I've got good blockers. So if they just want to attack me for like, what, 5, 8, hold this back as a blocker, I'll just go to 4. Play my Mausoleum Wanderer, end of turn, untap. Nebelgast Herald can tap the Shacklegeist and I can kill him. So that's a pretty good plan. What are we casting here? Oh, that's fine. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 exact. But if they do attack like this, then I can just block the land, let them have tapped Shacklegeist, and I still just untap and kill them? Yeah, let's do that. They can draw a card, but they're out of mana, so I don't care what they draw. And they're off it. Cool. So now against them, I want these. Actually, I want a lot of these cards. Aether Gust against basically their entire deck. And do I want Extraction Specialist? So they do play a lot of removal, but all of that removal is generally named like Obliterating Bolt, which exiles. And this on the ground isn't that great. So I think the actual answer might end up being no, I don't want that. I'll play one of these rather than the Guy's Light Snares. I don't really want these. Actually, I would rather have these than any number of Spell Quellers, which means I suppose I'll put one of these back in. So if I'm going to be playing Extraction Specialists, then I suppose I want as many 2-drops as possible to take advantage of those. And this hand is okay. Like, a third land is once again what I'm looking for, but especially a white one to actually cast is Selfless Spirit. But even until then, like, I've got a decent curve of like Wanderer, Supreme Phantom, Rattle Chains. So that's a relatively decent list of options, even with just 2 mana. And I don't know whether it's simply this event and I'm unlucky, or whether I really need to reevaluate the mana base here, but, oh, that's good. But it seems to be the case that I'm drawing exactly Island Mutavault a lot, and I do really want to address that if we're going to be playing Azorius going into the one we'll be all set. Obliterating Bolt, I do have Extraction Specialist, so I would rather it be in the graveyard. I assume that is something that my opponent will pick up on, but my plan is not changing if they do know about it, so whatever. If they try to Bone Crusher Giant this, I can also sacrifice it. But now I've got the mana I want, so I'm relatively happy with that. I'm less happy with that, but I can't do anything about it, so whatever. And I do get to have a nice little start here with Nebelgast Herald protected by the Selfless Spirit, so that actually will feel really good. Do I want to play you or you? I'm going to play you. Which one I play actually makes almost no difference, with the exception of the fact that, you know, obviously, like, they have to think about this a little bit. So let's see. If they just jam a Seeker's Chariot down my throat here, I can let them give it haste. That's fine. I don't actually care about that at all. Activate Mutavault. Okay. And Stomping Ground. Are we holding a Rending Valley? Likely. So it doesn't matter which of the 3 mana things, I'm sorry, 3 power things I tap. So for the sake of correctness, I think I'll just tap this, so that at least they don't somehow decide to just like skip the combat, use the haste for mana, and trick me into letting them resolve something nice. And I'm not blocking here. I'm just going to take the 5, go to 11, knowing that my Nebelgast Herald has potential to just be super good here. And this also means I'm not supposed to play. Wow, that's good. All right, now I'm definitely not playing CO. Instead, I'm just going to attack for 4, knowing that my 2 copies of Rattle Chains will be good enough to tap a creature, tap a new creature, and protect against whatever they try to give haste. So I'm going to cast the first one of these in their upkeep. I am a liar. No, I'm still doing that. Yeah, piss off. Does that mean I should let them spend mana on a new threat? Yes, I'm going to let them spend mana on a new threat now that I've seen a removal spell. Heart's Desire transmutes to Lovestruck Beast. Okay, that's exactly the kind of giant threat I really wanted them to waste their time on. So that actually works out really well for me. Oh, okay. And they left up Mutavault, which means I also don't have to be worried about this trying to attack unless they have another land in hand as their last card. And they do. I think I'm pretty okay with this, actually, because here all I'm going to do is Rattle Chains first and tap the Lovestruck Beast. Lovestruck Beast tapped. Rattle Chains doesn't actually matter. The trigger can go on the Hex, the tapper. Mutavault can be activated. That's also fine. And I will use Supreme Phantom as the tapper for the biggest creature now, and I can block Mutavault with 1/3. Sick. Oh, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, looks like we just win instead. So now I get the Supreme Phantom, tap down the human token, and then just kill him. Woo, let's go. All right, so 4 rounds later, and we have had a pretty good time of it today, right? Like, we got to play against Mono Green twice, which is a relatively easy matchup. So just knowing that you get to have a nice little 2-0 start to your event always kind of kicks ass. And then against Rakdos, like, you already need your deck to be as stable as possible when playing against that deck, almost no matter what you're playing, just because of the sheer amount of removal that deck has access to. And we felt the wrath of that, right? Like, we ended up having games with not enough lands and games with mismatched colors, and that just ended up coming up so much in the Rakdos matchup that it's one of those things where I almost don't know that I even want to be playing with 2 colors against Rakdos. I love my mono blue matchup because you just never have to worry about not being able to cast your stuff as long as you have the required number of lands. Like, that's really it. If you have your lands, you can play your spells. Job done. But if you're stuck with cards in hand that you can't cast, then that's a great place for Rakdos to be able to punish you because you just don't really get to participate. And I think that's going to be a real thinking point as we come up with Phyrexia 1 will be all. Because one of the hugest things that's happening here is that we're going to have access to Seachrome Coast. And to that effect, we've also got a nice little deck list. So what I've done here is simply kept the rest of the 75 the same. Sideboard, pretty sure that's identical to what we played today. And the rest of the cards here, also, I think, pretty identical to what we played today. What we've done here is, of course, included the Seachrome Coasts, so that we've got 4 of these now, and that gives us a full 16 dual lands instead of just 12, which is pretty important when you're trying to cast 2 colors of spells. It's also nice that Seachrome Coast just, like, doesn't cause you pain, which means that if you are in a portable hole matchup, you'll be able to reliably portable hole things like, say, your opponent's mono white creatures, for example, without taking damage in a matchup where the damage really matters. But you have access to the Darker Waste, Hollow Fountains, Hengegate Pathways, and Seachrome Coast now. And we're going to have 2 islands in Otawara and Iganjo. That part's not changing. We're going to have a basic plains on top of the 2 basic islands. And the one thing here that I think is going to end up looking pretty cool is going to be a Hall of Storm Giants. And I'm choosing Hall specifically because, I just already felt incredibly punished by the Mutavaults being colorless lands. When you're trying to cast 2 colors of stuff, having any colorless lands in your list will feel a lot more punishing than it really ever will in mono blue, since yes, there are hands where you have like Island, Faceless Haven, and realistically that feels bad. It's gonna suck when it happens. But that effect is so much greater when you're also looking for a second color of stuff. Like, you need a blue source and a white source and your 3rd land to be somewhat reliable if you're trying to, for example, cast like a spell Queller. And a Mutavault does kind of put a stop to that sometimes, and it just doesn't feel great. So that's going to be the change that we're making. We're playing 1 Hall of Storm Giants as just like a big giant Hadouken that can finish off, for example, a blue-white control opponent or Rakdos mid-range opponent when they're just trying to like resource for resource you, and you're just making your land drops along the way. Well, if you ever get to a very late game where you have a giant pile of lands, then okay, activate your 7/7. Good luck dealing with that, right? But it's also cool that Hall of Storm Giants is just an untapped blue source on turn 2 in your Curious Obsession deck. So I think that's going to be the thing that we want to try out with like a Seachrome Coast Hall of Storm Giants deck mana base. But otherwise, the main deck itself is completely fine, as we saw. Like, we have a lot of game against a lot of things, up to and including decks that are just much faster than ourselves. For example, the green-red Cars deck. I do like having access to the Nebelgast Heralds in a whole lot of matchups right now, and I'm know full well that like my last 3 or 4 mono blue videos have basically been love letters to Nebelgast Herald, but I do really think that card is that good, and it's just one of those times where there are enough creatures in the Pioneer format to justify a splash threat like Nebelgast Herald that can help your Shacklegeists control combat. And as you see, they're working, like they're doing the thing that they need to do. They're helping mitigate these much faster matchups in decks like green-red. They're helping to tap down things like Cavalier of Thorns against your mono-green opponents. And yeah, of course, that's not a matchup that you really need the help in, but it is still the second most popular deck played in Pioneer, so it's nice to have the help in a matchup that comes up all the time, even though it's already a good matchup. You still just don't want to like fumble the bag when your good matchups come. And as for the sideboard, I think the Orvars are like fine. They're fine. That's really it. I don't know that we really need to be playing something like that. So like those two spots, you can kind of devote to really whatever you want. If you want to play like a fourth portable hole, if you want to play like more counter spells, if you want to put mystical disputes in your list, really the world's your oyster. Blue-white comes with a crap ton of available options as far as sideboarding goes. So really just kind of like pick and choose what you want to be versus what you think you might be comfortable willing to lose to. And from there, you can make your own choices as to what you want to do with those few spots. But that's going to be it for our Azorius video today. We went 3-1, which is a pretty respectable record. It means we got some qualifying points towards another event. Life is all gravy. I think I will choose to play Legacy this weekend rather than Vintage. I think I only have the points to play one. So if y'all see a Legacy video show up on Monday, then you know what I played. If you see a Vintage video show up on Monday, you'll also know what I played, to be determined. If I'm feeling really lively, I might stream whatever I play this weekend, to be determined. But that's going to be it for today. As always, make sure to like the video if you like what you saw, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see y'all on the next one.